Hello and welcome to Pockenrop. In today's video, I am taking a look at my top 15 number one singles of the 1970s. This is part of my series looking at my top 15 number one singles of each decade. As usual, I've used the PubMeeple ranking engine to create my list, and this meant that a few things that I thought would probably make it in actually dropped off because there was things I preferred more. One of which is pretty dear to me. It is She by Charles Aznavour. And the reason it's special is because that's what was number one on the day I was born. At number 15, I have placed Space Oddity by David Bowie. Now, yes, this came out in 1969, but it didn't reach the top until it was reissued in 75. It's a little bit bleak, given the fact that our character Major Tom loses connection with ground control, especially as it originally came out during 1969 when everybody was focused on the moon landings. It was kind of a bleak slice of what could go wrong. My number 15, Space Oddity. At number 14, I have got a comedy single. So there were several novelty tracks that hit the charts in the 70s. Things like The Streak by Ray Stevens got to number one. But this one I think is particularly good. It is Divorce by Billy Connolly. So this is such a clever treatment of Tammy Wynette's original song. The whole idea of spelling out the words so that her boy couldn't understand them. But in this case here, it's about his dog. And yet Divorce by Billy Connolly is my number 14. At number 13, appropriately enough, given the fact that people think that number 13 is unlucky, I have got the Bee Gees' Tragedy, the third of their number one singles from the 1970s. I love Tragedy. I think it's an absolutely brilliant song. So much so that even the Steps cover version doesn't kill it. I think it showcases Barry Gibb's falsetto to its best without tipping into the cheese level that you sometimes got off the stuff from the Saturday Night Fever album. My number 13, Tragedy by the Bee Gees. At number 12, and sticking with a bit of a disco type theme that we've already got from the previous entry, is something that when it was first being developed by the band was known as the disco song. It is Heart of Glass by Blondie. Now, I did toy with whether or not actually Sunday Girl might be the entry for Blondie. I love them both equally. They're both from the Parallel Lines album, which is a great pop punk album. But ultimately, I think Heart of Glass just edges it in terms of its importance as a 70s number one. Even now, a dance floor filler. It's an absolutely great song, Heart of Glass, my number 12. And at number 11, what would a Pockenrop list be without something that people really weren't expecting to appear? No, I'm not picking anything like Mouldy Old Dough by Lieutenant Pigeon. At number 11, I have got Girls' School by Wings. Mull of Kintyre and Girls' School was a double A side. This means that Girls' School was officially listed as a number one single, despite the fact that hardly anybody knows it. But it's a brilliant Wings rocker. I think it is a better song than Mull of Kintyre, although I don't hate Mull of Kintyre. Please don't think that I dislike it. I do like it. But Girls' School, the double A side, is way better. And I've loved it since I was 3. My sister had this on a single, and I adored it even then. Girls' School, my number 11. At number 10, I have placed Without You, performed by Harry Nilsson, but written by Pete Ham and Tom Evans of the band Badfinger. Now, this song has a tragic history attached to it. Both of the songwriters ultimately committed suicide. And there is a level of emotion in the song anyway that is ramped up by that tragic backstory and further by the brilliant performance by Harry Nilsson. Harry Nilsson had one of the best voices in music until it was shredded and wrecked by working with John Lennon on the album Pussycats, who made him sing to the point where his vocal cords bled onto a microphone, and it wrecked his voice for the rest of his life. He could still sing, but he lost some of the rich tone and sound. Badfinger were closely associated with the Beatles. They were on the Apple label originally. Their first single was Come and Get It, produced and written by Paul McCartney. And McCartney himself described Without You as the killer song of all time. It's a great song. Mariah Carey's version from the 90s is overwrought, as virtually everything Mariah Carey sings seems to be. But the cover version by Nilsson, the one that most people knew, remains an absolutely wonderful #1 single. My number 10. At number 9, coming from the year 1979, is Gary Newman with Cars. So this is the inception, really, of the new wave electronica movement. Gary Newman was in many ways a great pioneer, and as his debut single following his departure from Tubeway Army, Cars is a near perfect song, and I love every second of it. My number 9. At number 8, I have placed a band that emerged in the 60s, had string of hits, never hit the #1 spot until they released December 1963. It is the Four Seasons. December 63 is a great song. Now, I have heard the story that they changed the title of it because it was originally December 33. December 63, my number 8. At number 7, I have placed Maggie May by Rod Stewart. I would also have considered the double A side from 1977 that allegedly kept the Sex Pistols off #1, which was The First Cut is the Deepest, and I don't want to talk about it. But Maggie May is probably the pinnacle of his #1 success of his entire career. Maggie May's a great song. I've gigged it so many times. I love playing it. I love singing it. I love the mandolin that kind of kicks it all off. It's from a great album as well, which is Every Picture Tells a Story. And it told the world who Rod Stewart was. One of the great artists of the last 50 years. It's a 50-year-old song, that's a thought. Maggie May, my number 7. At number 6, I have placed my favourite #1 single by a band that dominated this decade in terms of chart success. They had 7 #1 singles, but my favourite is Take a Chance on Me. It is, of course, ABBA. So I said they had 7. The other 6 were Waterloo, Mamma Mia, Fernando, Dancing Queen, The Name of the Game, and of course, Knowing Me, Knowing You. 7 great #1 singles. If I'd have included more than one by an individual artist on this list, there would have been a stack of ABBA that would have pushed out other great songs. Best pop band of the 70s, bar none. And Take a Chance on Me is my number 6. At number 5, I have placed my favourite #1 single by the other band that dominated the decade, but the early part of it. It is Slade. They had 6 #1s, and my choice is Come On, Feel the Noise. I love Slade. I think they were the epitome of the best of glam rock by some distance. And Come On, Feel the Noise is comfortably their best #1 single. It's not their best single because I've got a real soft spot for Goodbye to Jane. Come On, Feel the Noise is the best one that got to #1. If you only know Slade as a result of Merry Christmas, Everybody, just think Slade are for life, not just for Christmas. They're a great band. They did great albums. They did great singles. Check them out because they are criminally underrated. My number 5, Come On, Feel the Noise by Slade. At number 4, I have placed a song that straddles the decade from the 70s into the 80s. It's Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 by Pink Floyd. What a song. There is so much going on, and yet lyrically it is so tight and compact. And when you hear it in the context of the entire Wall album, it takes on an additional meaning, particularly as you hear that school teacher part at the end of the song coming back, because that character has already appeared in The Happiest Days of Our Lives. It's a terrific song. It's got a creepy as heck video. My number 4, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 by Pink Floyd. Staying on a school theme, at least obliquely, At number 3, I have placed the Boomtown Rats and I Don't Like Mondays. So this song was inspired by a school shooting. It is therefore a dark subject matter, and there's no getting away from that. But what a masterpiece of a song by the Boomtown Rats. It is vocal and piano and hand percussion, and that's it. And you do not need anything else with it. It is genuinely one of the greatest songs of all time and worthy of its place for me as the third best number one of the 1970s. Now, given how much I have waxed lyrical about I Don't Like Mondays, I must have two absolute killers to come now, and I do. At number 2, the third best-selling single of all time, because it reached number 1 twice, Bohemian Rhapsody. 9 weeks at number 1 in 1975 and sold over 1 million copies. Its creation is almost legendary. The wearing out of the tape on the operatic section. And this is the thing. This song has no right being a pop single. It is 6 minutes long. It starts a cappella. It then has a full band section. It then has the operatic insanity section, a full-on rock section, and then a coda at the end that takes it back calmly out of the story. And it's a ballad about somebody almost certainly going to their execution. It has no right being such a behemoth song, but it's brilliant. Freddie Mercury was definitely a genius, and Bo Rap proves it. My number 2. So what have I placed above Bohemian Rhapsody, given that for many, that is the greatest number 1 of all time? Well, for me, it's Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. The song is 100% timeless. It is a standard these days. It's that good. Art Garfunkel's vocal on it is incredible. And that's why it's my number 1 of the 70s. So that is my top 15 number 1 singles of the 1970s. Let me know in comments below what you thought of it. What did I include that I shouldn't have done? I will defend Girls' School, but if you will really push me, I will make the point that it's Mull of Kintyre / Girls' School. And what did I miss? What could I have included that I didn't, that you particularly love? And particularly those artists that have multiple singles, would you have chosen the one that I picked as their best? Please let me know in the comments. So thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time.